Today we have represented in this press conference on our side coordinators of our organization from throughout the country. We have from Johor, we have from Negeri, Melaka, Selangor, Perak, Kedah, and of course here in Penang. Now, why we are all gathered here from all over the country, they've come. In fact, it was quite a rush for them to come, is to emphasize the fact that what's happening is not a local issue. It's a national issue, and it has echoes throughout the country, and it'll echo throughout the country. Hindraf has always been a Pakatan Rakyat supporter. We call on the people to overwhelmingly come out in support of the Pakatan Rakyat in the last general election. Why did we do this? We did this because we wanted to see positive changes in the socio-economic policies of the country affecting Indian Malaysians. A critical problem has developed in the Indian community due to the neglect of the preceding 50 years by the UMNO regime. If left without any intervention, we will see a further and accelerating deterioration of the status of the Indian community. The changes we are expecting should address the core issues which we have articulated untold times. The changes we are expecting should be holistic, not piecemeal changes. Piecemeal actions do nothing other than to give a semblance of action. The reality, however, continues to deteriorate. The facts speak for themselves. Crime rate, suicide rate, incidents of poverty, urban slums, alcoholism, drug abuse, single parents, citizens without proper documentation, children without birth certificates, rising unemployment, and a host of other problems. A progressively deteriorating socio-economic status for the Indians as a whole in our country. So far, in the 5 PR states, maybe now 4, we see only a continuation of the same approaches of the last 50 years. The PR governments have not got it yet. Recently, the Chief Minister in Penang said, "Who says we are doing nothing for the Indians in Penang? We give money to the temples. We have given 1.5 million ringgits to the Tamil schools. We have road signs in Tamil. We are doing a lot," he says. This is exactly our point. These things do very little for the real problem. The PR governments in general and DAP in specific in Penang must, I repeat, must understand that what we are seeking is not this. What we seek is a truly wholesome approach to the problem. We interpret all of this to mean that there is no real political will to address this problem. After all, only 7.4% of the population. Or the explanation given is that we are not in the federal seat yet. The federal controls most of the strings. We are powerless. We cannot accept this argument anymore, because even in the areas where the state governments have unfettered power, the PR governments have not shown a willingness to use their power to address the problems in an effective manner. The state governments have complete authority over land matters. Have the PR governments given land to the Tamil schools, to the temples, to the burial grounds? Have they? Even leaving that aside, in the current case of Kampung Buah Pala, where there was, and I quote the CM of Penang, fraud involved in the transaction of the sale of the Kampung Buah Pala land. They have not had the will to act positively, proactively, to correct the situation using the authority they have. It took a momentous amount of pressure on the part of the residents of the village and support groups till the Chief Minister decided to act last night to use his authority finally. Why did he not act on this before? Here we were not even asking for alienation of new land, but to use the powers of the state government in matters of land to return land which belongs to the villages, which truly belongs to the villages. The events leading to the Kampung Buah Pala saga reinforces our interpretation as to why the DAP-led government had refused to exercise its exclusive power under the National Land Code and the Land Acquisition Act to acquire the land for the benefit of the people. The Chief Minister himself acknowledges that the Kampung folks have been cheated of their land, held under trust for their benefit by the previous Garakan government, and yet they remained silent on this until Hindraf raised the matter recently. Why is DAP plucking figures willy-nilly of hundreds of millions of ringgits compensation to developers when the assessment of damage and its procedures are clearly laid out in the Land Acquisition Act, that is, that the sum should be reasonable and would be assessed by the land administrator. Where does this sum come from? Why didn't the DAP government revoke the development order earlier? The decision last night was not based on any new facts that surfaced recently. These are facts that have been there since March 2008 and totally available to them. In any case, this decision does not help solve the villagers' problem. It is plainly clear that the villagers were cheated of their ancestral land, and by revoking the development order, DAP is diverting from the real issue of the fraud. There is only one thing that the DAP should do, in our opinion. That is, exercise its power in Section 76 of the National Land Code and Section 3 of the Land Acquisition Act, acquire the land and return the land to the rightful owners, the villagers. Why doesn't the DAP government truly appreciate the value of the heritage embodied in the continuing existence of Kampung Buah Pala? All of this, in our opinion, sums into this one cause. There is no political will to address the Indian problems in an effective manner by the PR governments. The whole PR state governments. The whole country is watching Kampung Buah Pala closely, and the silent majority of PR supporters are bound to lose hope and confidence on the ability of the PR Pakatan Rakyat if the DAP keeps dodging the real issue and diverts the attention of the Malaysian public from the truth. Our expectation specific to Kampung Buah Pala is this: Kampung Buah Pala must be returned to the villages and preserved as an Indian heritage village for all of posterity. All of the village, not a part of it as the Chief Minister is now proposing.